Right, and we are live. Welcome back with Murphy Mac to another episode of the Fitness Beginner Podcast, where we help you get started on your fitness journey. How's it going, everybody? Hope you're all off to a great start of the week. Hope y'all are, getting after it, getting back from the weekend. So we have a guest coming on the podcast today. We're gonna interview Mr. Joel Staley. We're gonna learn everything that he has to share with us. We're bringing him up to the screen now. So Joe actually wrote a book. He's the author of Total Reset. That's correct. Yeah.
That's right.
And he is also a cancer survivor. So we're going to talk about his journey today and kind of what he does. So if you would, Joel, well, first of all, I'll tell you a little bit about us. So it's called the Fitness Beginner Podcast. We like to just help people getting started, like help them get motivated or help them learn kind of the basics of things. We typically keep things pretty basic. And then we have people on like you. We'll typically dive deeper into some more details of some things. But yeah, we're just here to try to help people get started and get motivated on their fitness journey. So that's a little bit about us. If you would, just tell people who you are and what you do.
Sure, man. Getting started, that's the most important part. So kudos to you. I think that you're really doing your community a huge service by niching down to the beginners. My name's Joel Staley. I'm a husband. I have three little girls, a 7-year-old who just lost her two front teeth, so she looks like a hockey player, and twin 4-year-olds, almost 4-year-olds, I guess I should say. Next month they turn 4. I've always been into fitness. It's been I call it my iron therapy, going to the gym. I haven't always necessarily enjoyed the dieting aspect, but going to the gym for 10 years and not looking the part got old. So then I started figuring out the nutrition aspect and dialing that part in. Typically work with mostly married men with kids, only because that unique demographic has a very unique set of challenges. Whereas if you're in your 20s and single, you can live at the gym and control everything that goes in your mouth, and you're pretty much on your own schedule. Once there's a family and a career or a business involved, all of a sudden it's very easy to put everyone else's needs before your own. And so you have to get a little crafty to be able to
Mm.
still hit your goals. And that's like hormones and all the other side effects of aging as well. So, yeah, I've really niched down to the guys with families that are looking to lose body fat and build muscle without having to live in the gym or count calories and macros meticulously or anything like that. And that's what I'm passionate about.
Awesome. So you wear a lot of hats. You're a dad, you're a coach, cancer survivor. What would you say? Which one of those has kind of shaped your approach to fitness the most?
Um, Man, that's a great question. Fitness has always been my guiding light for anything. It seems to be one of the very few things in life that I can control. And if I were to get a psych eval, there's a good chance I might be deemed a control freak, which isn't really good because there's very few things that we can control. But me waking up when I say I'm going to wake up and going and hitting the gym when I say I'm going to hit the gym and adhering to my diet when I say I'm going to adhere to my diet, those are the few things that even when life gets rocky, um, I can stick to. And I'm not a disciplined junkie. I'd like to be, and sometimes I can be, but for example, when I did get my cancer diagnosis, it was stage 3 testicular cancer, which we can get into that, but it came out of nowhere at the age of 36, and I got diagnosed at 37 after I let it spread throughout my whole body. But anyway, even when I got out of the hospital after being on bed rest for 12 days and just got done with my first round of chemo, I came home and I started watching a documentary on TV, some 30 for 30 documentary. And within like 5 minutes, my just internal dialogue was, "What are you doing, man? Like, get out of here. Go to your happy place. You've been in the hospital for the last 2 weeks. You just got done with chemo. Well, maybe you don't try to PR on squats or anything like that today, but at least go step foot in the gym, do a lap. If you feel like picking up some dumbbells, do a couple curls, but like get back to your safe place, the place that is always there for you." And man, that's exactly what I did. I got a lift in. I actually did have a decent workout for someone that was just loaded up full of chemicals. But it wasn't even the physical aspect of it. I remember just leaving the gym and I was almost in tears because it was like, dude, hell yeah. I'm the type of person that when all the chips are against me, I still get to the gym and make it happen. And it was just so affirming for my own identity. Uh, I'll probably never forget that feeling I had when I left the gym that day. So, to answer your question, a combination of all, but the cancer thing was really like, wow, dude, if stage 3 cancer going through chemo and everything that you've ever known is up in the air now, and you still get to the gym, it's like that really reaffirmed who I am and what I'm passionate about, at least to myself.
Yeah, that's one thing that's really big for me is the kind of mental side of things. So yeah, you're doing something physical, but there's a lot more to the gym. Like you mentioned, like you just get that good feeling. Like people always ask me how I'm so like consistent and disciplined to do it. I'm like, this is easy. Like this is easy for me. I love going to the gym because like you don't have to beg me to go to the gym. Like I'm gonna go. Like because it's I enjoy it because it's not because I'm physically doing something, but because it's just a mental reset. It's just like a reset, like your total reset. I loved like when I leave the gym every day. Like I'm in a better mood. You know, I feel good. I'm not. I don't think I've ever left the gym just mad. You know, you just can't. Like you just your body gets all those endorphins and stuff. You're just in a better mood. So it's like it's a mental thing for me. So I enjoy it. Like you don't have to beg me to go. Like I'll go. So
Yeah, and for your audience, that if they're beginners, I think the reason that a lot of people do believe you need willpower and discipline and all these things to go to the gym is because they get caught up in the rut of doing the high intensity circuit classes at the gym. And man, I've been going to the gym for 20 something years now. If you put me in one of those classes, I wouldn't enjoy it and I wouldn't want to go to the gym. It wouldn't be my Joel time anymore. I like putting my headphones on, listening to a podcast that I want to listen to or whatever music I want to listen to, doing my workout, taking adequate rest in between sets. I'm not like trying to get my cardio through the roof. I'm just trying to hit my set and then take 2 minutes, relax, chill, say what's up to the dude next to me, catch up. It's like, and two, like, where else can you go? I remember the first time I went to the gym when I was just a little kid and my dad took me there, and there's just like all these giant guys with big bulging muscles wearing like their bro tanks. It was a Gold's Gym, and then there was like these women that are all sweaty and they're wearing like their sports bra and stuff. And I just remember thinking like, man, what is this place? This place is awesome. Like, does my mom know my dad comes here? This is like Baywatch, but I'm here. I just distinctly remember wondering where else can you go at like 5 in the morning, and it's just a bunch of people trying to improve their situation that are putting themselves first, and those are the type of people I like to be around.
yeah, I hate that the gym gets kind of like a bad reputation because I feel like a lot of beginners, especially, kind of they get intimidated when they go to gyms. Like you mentioned, like there's big dudes, jacked, sweaty, probably grunting a lot, and I know that can seem kind of intimidating for a lot of people. But what you'll come to find is like a lot of those people are some of the most genuine, like down to earth people you can meet. Like if they're probably in there dealing with the same struggles you're dealing with, and they're just taking it out on the weights instead of dealing with it other ways. So I say that a lot. Like, don't be intimidated when you go in the gym. Like those dudes would more than likely help you do anything you want to do. Like if you have a question, feel free to ask them. Like they would love to help you out most of the time. Now you may run into a bad one here and there, but they're probably gonna be super nice and super helpful because you're asking them something that they're very passionate about. Like the big jack dudes, they love working out. They love talking about it. They eat, sleep, and breathe it all day, every day. So they would love to help somebody out. So I always encourage people, especially beginners, to do that. Like don't try not to be intimidated. I know it can be because they're in there, real big and it's probably grunting and it's kind of intimidating, but there's nothing to be scared of.
Well, there's that old saying, it's like you're never going to have a hater that's doing better than you. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's what I've noticed in my own life and patterns is anytime I meet a business owner or someone that's just absolutely crushing it in an area and I ask them a question, they're never they're never judgmental. They remember being in your shoes at one point. They want to see you be successful. They want to help you. And that rule holds true for the gym as well. These bodies weren't built overnight. Everyone remembers their first few times going to the gym and being intimidated, but you're spot on. It's usually the big guys that are the most intimidating with like the tattoos and the grunts that are just giant teddy bears that want to see you make a lifestyle change and get the same benefit they've gotten out of it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come for the last 10 or 20 years.
Hmm. So what originally got you into fitness coaching?
So I was in the Navy after high school, and I had a buddy back home in Omaha, Nebraska, who was doing fitness shows. And me and this guy were always competitive as kids. So I remember being on my little submarine in the middle of the ocean, watching his updates, being all tanned and on stage, and everyone liking his pictures on MySpace and Facebook. And I was like, when I go back home, I'm going to do one of these fitness shows. Show them it's not that hard. So when I got out of the Navy, I came back and I signed up for my first men's physique show, and it went pretty well. I don't know how deep you want me to get into this, but the deal with that was I kept noticing I'd get overly restrictive on the cut, like the 12-week diet down. And so after every show, I would lose like, let's say 20 pounds in 12 weeks just by eating egg whites and oatmeal and ground turkey and broccoli and tilapia, all the classics, sweet potato every once in a while. And then as soon as the show was over, I would just start binge eating because I hadn't had any of my foods I actually like to eat, the burritos, the cinnamon rolls, the pancakes, all that stuff for months at a time. And so I would undo all the progress I made in about a week and a half that took me months to do. And this happened like over and over and over and over again, where I would diet down, be in really good shape, have my show, and then like binge eat afterwards. And so the fifth year of competing, I actually started dabbling with some more fasting, like intermittent fasting plus even some longer fasts. And what was nice about that is I could be a little less restrictive on the diet aspect of it as long as I was hitting my fast and giving my body adequate time to burn body fat. So I was still eating all of my foods that I like to eat for the most part. I'd say like 90% of them. And what was nice was that time I actually won the show, which told me that the fasting worked really well because I never won a show before. But more importantly than that, after the show, I didn't feel that incessant need to just stuff my face 24/7. And I was able to just maintain single digit body fat from like then on out. So I'm a big advocate of fasting, lifting weights, community. Those are like my big three.
Yeah, I did a classic physique show in 2024, a little over a year ago. And it was very, very interesting. It was very hard, which is, I've always been into weightlifting, but I've never been on the bodybuilding side. Like I never even thought about doing a bodybuilding show until 2024. And I did one that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. And I've done some other pretty hard things. Like I've done an Ironman and I've done a 100-mile ultra marathon, and the bodybuilding show was harder by far. Like it was super hard. It was like all you do is just think about food all day. It's not very healthy at all.
No, it's not. I will say it was very exhilarating that last year where it was so surreal when I won the whole show because I had told myself, I think I even said it out loud that day, but I was going to keep coming and doing this exact same show every year until I either died of old age or won. Like I've so long as going back to the first one, I ended up getting first in my class, but second overall. So I didn't win the show, but I won. There's a tall and a short,
Hmm.
and I won the tall, and then the short guy beat me out, which is fine. But it was my first show, and it was an all natural show. So they polygraph you beforehand, and then they piss test selective people afterwards. So I got second overall, and then I was on top of the world. And the next day, I got a call from the promoter, and he was like, "Hey, I hate to say this, but you got disqualified because you missed your piss test after the show." And I was like, "What piss test? What are you talking about?" And it turns out that the third place guy, they piss test the top three guys. Me and the third place guy didn't realize there was a piss test, or we just didn't know what was up. So that's when I was really like, all right, I'm going to come back and do this show next year and win it. And I got like fifth place. I'm going to come back next year and win it. And I got like sixth place. And I came back again, third place. And finally, the fifth year was when I started doing the fasting and whatnot, and it was a lot looser with the diet. But that's when I committed. I was like, dude, there's no way these people are going to get the better of me. I will come here forever until I die, until I win this show. And when I made that commitment that fifth year, it was like the universe realized it was going to be too much energy to just not let me win. So I ended up winning that show. And what I was getting at is I do remember extremely well how exhilarating it was to be the last person called and going up and winning the entire show and having all the lights on you and people cheering. And uh, it was one of the best times of my life.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool experience. So you use fasting during your prep, like while you were dieting?
Yeah. So the story with that was my buddy, again, I always did 12-week prep. 12 weeks out, I started. But my buddy planned his bachelor party for 3 weeks before this last show. And so I was like, oh my God, dude, I've been getting like fifth and sixth place the last few years. And that was before we were going to Scottsdale, Arizona. And I wasn't going to miss the bachelor party for one. And I also wasn't going to be the guy that brings Tupperware and tilapia when everyone else is playing beer pong and eating pizza. So what I told myself was, I'm going to go to this bachelor party and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do some aggressive fasting. And if I lose all my muscle or if I look like crap, I just will miss the show and get back at it next year. But I came back and I started doing some 48-hour fasts and a couple 72-hour fasts. And dude, I got so lean so fast. I didn't lose any strength or muscle. And like, funny enough, that was the show I won. And I remember being backstage during the show and people are like, man, I haven't had a beer in 16 weeks, man. I can't wait to eat a cookie. And I was thinking just like 2.5 weeks ago, man, I was like beer bonging Four Locos with my buddies and like eating pizza and stuff. And I ended up beating all these guys out. So that's when I knew fasting was the real deal.
Yeah, that's interesting. You did fasting for your show. I've never heard any other like bodybuilder doing fasting. Because like when I was prepping, I was eating six meals a day, every day, like clockwork. So I couldn't imagine doing fasting. That's interesting. But I guess it worked out for you. So
Well, what I noticed was I wouldn't get hungry until I ate. So after all these other shows, when I was binging all the time, I would normally wake up at like 4:30 kind of guy, go to the gym, and I'd have like oatmeal, for example, oatmeal and like maybe a scoop of protein powder in there at 4:30 in the morning. And then 2 hours later, because my blood sugar spiked and then started coming back down, I was hungry again at 6:30. So I'd eat, and then I was hungry again at 8:30, then 10:30, then 12:30. And when you start eating at 4 a.m. and you don't go to bed till 10, and you're hungry every 2 hours, even if you're eating clean, you're eating. I tracked it one time. I was at like 5,500 calories, and I was trying to eat as clean as possible. So what I noticed was when I started doing the intermittent fasting and not eating anything until about noon, I really wasn't hungry until I broke the seal and spiked my insulin and my blood sugar until a couple hours later. So intermittent fasting was my dipping my toe into fasting, and I really didn't even do it for any other reason except it was the only way I could control my calories and my hunger whatsoever. And then I just kind of took it to the next level for that last show and started doing longer fasts.
yeah, that's cool. So while we're on the topic of fasting, what does your diet look like now? Like what is your fasting protocol now? Like when you're not competing, just everyday stuff.
I'm right around as lean as I could want to be, so I don't have to do anything extreme. I'll say like, so I'll give you my routine right now, and then I'll give you if I work with like a guy that wants to lose 40 pounds, for example. But my routine right now is typically I eat anywhere between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., just depending on the day and my hunger. And that works really well for me because I run my own business, obviously. So instead of having to like divide my workday into a bunch of different quadrants and go figure out what to eat and then eat it, and then you get that like kind of lethargic hour after you eat where you don't really want to do anything. I just pretty much am productivity machine. until generally, unless I am like starving, then I'll eat earlier. But generally, I try to shoot for like 4:30, 5 o'clock after we pick the kids up from school, and then I'll just eat the rest of the night. So I'm doing like family dinner and then whatever else till I go to bed. And so it's kind of like there's two Joels. There's work Joel, which isn't really eating; he's fasting and just getting stuff done. And then when he's done for the day, and family Joel checks in, family Joel's the one eating like dinner and whatever else the rest of the night.
So how many calories would you say you roughly eat in a day? Because like to me, it sounds like you're eating one, maybe two meals a day.
Yeah,
You're not
usually
eating
I'll
much.
have one big meal and then I like to make a big protein shake at the end of the day just so I stay out of the pantry and all the crap. But I would say on average, probably right around 2,000 calories. I have a big appetite though, so I can eat. I've
Shoot, two
always had a
two
big
thousand
appetite.
calories is not a lot, not for
No,
me.
it's not. That being said, so work Joel obviously doesn't work on the weekends. Family Joel's there, so I'm eating all weekend.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes more sense. Then I'm like, I don't know how you maintain any muscle on your body eating 2,000 calories every day. Because like if I ate 2,000, I would be skin and bones.
Yeah. I think, well, the longer fast, so that's what I do for or recommend for guys that have more weight to lose, the 48 72 hour fast, which again sounds intimidating to a beginner, but counterintuitively, actually the first 24 hours is always the toughest. And then once you wake up that second day, you're in ketosis and all your hunger is like dissipated. And anyone can do a 24-hour fast. Your doctor will tell you you got to do a 24-hour fast all the time if they want to test some stuff on you. But what's nice about those longer fasts is it actually resets your hormones. And not only do you get a bump in your testosterone, but your human growth hormone, which obviously is very good for building or retaining muscle, skyrockets up to 2,000%. So I do like to throw in the occasional 48-hour fast still, even though I'm pretty lean, just to get the HGH and all those like hormonal benefits. But like we have guys lose 40, 50 pounds in 90 days and they put on 5 pounds of muscle, which is just absurd if you're used to tracking calories and macros and all that stuff.
So for somebody is new that may want to try the 48 72 hour fast, how would you tell them to go about doing that? Like how often would you do it? Would you do anything leading up to it, and what would you do after it?
Yeah, so while I'm thinking about it, I put together a gift for your people. It's the Total Reset book. You can get it on Amazon for like $5 too, but I just put it on a website. So if you want to get access to it, I walk you through based on what your weight is, your experience with the gym, all that stuff. That's at totalresetcoaching.com/gift. So
Mhm.
that's like the nuts and bolts of everything. But giving you a 10,000-foot view, I would say the big things are number one, the meal leading into the fast should probably be lower carb, if not like zero carb, high fat, moderate protein, almost like keto. So, like a big, fatty, awesome steak and
Mhm.
eggs would be like the perfect send off meal because it keeps your blood sugar low. And so you don't have that dip I was talking about earlier. Drinking a decent amount of water on your fasting days. So like you could do a gallon. I typically don't get a gallon, but a half gallon to a gallon will keep you full. A lot of times we're just dehydrated and thirsty and we think we're hungry, but really we're just dehydrated and thirsty. So drinking a lot of water. Getting electrolytes. I use Ultima from Amazon. It tastes like Kool-Aid. It's 0 calories and it just makes the fasting way easier. And the big one, more psychological than physical, is get like a buddy that you respect and you don't want to let down. Like most of us as men, especially, should have that one buddy that competes with you. That's why I got into this whole thing in the first place, is I had that buddy.
Mhm.
Um, I would rope one of your buddies into it with you and say, "Hey, I heard this podcast. They're talking about doing a 24 or 48-hour fast. We should do it." And then that way, just psychologically, the way most guys are wired, you don't want to be the guy that pushes out. So that goes a long way too.
Yeah, I agree. Having a buddy do it with you makes everything so much easier. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. I've always been interested in the fasting, like the long fast, like that, and I've still never done one. I've always just I'm always training like for something, so like I think it would be counterintuitive for me to do, but I don't know. I still want to try one. I'm pretty close to my chiropractor. He's big into like holistic health and stuff, and he swears by fasting. Like he talks about it all the time. He's very religious too, so he looks at it from a religious standpoint, but also from the health aspect of it as well. So he's got me interested in doing one. And I'm gonna do it eventually. I just got to find the right time to do one when I'm not like, because I've been doing a lot of endurance sports lately, so I'm always like running or cycling, doing something. So I just feel like it wouldn't be very good for me to do
Running,
doing all
for
that.
me especially, and I've noticed a lot of my clients echo this same sentiment, really drives the appetite up
Hmm.
more than weightlifting does. So even when I'm doing a 48, 72-hour fast, I'm still lifting for
Hmm.
sure because it's mental for me. I have to get to the gym, as I was talking about. But I have noticed that. So before I got diagnosed with cancer, I was training for my first 100-mile ultra, which I didn't end up doing because I was in the hospital. So kudos to you. But I remember anytime I would go run, I was just ravenously hungry afterwards,
Hmm.
which isn't the case when I lift weights.
Yeah, I would definitely say my appetite increased with the running, but even before that, I've always had a high appetite. I've always been real skinny and high metabolism, so I can get away with eating a little bit more than most people.
Yeah.
Luckily. Um, so as you've coached, you work with a lot of men, family men specifically. What are some of the biggest, or what's the one biggest struggle you see that they experience?
Well, that's an easy one. And that is just the commitment phase. And that's why what I said at the beginning is like I talk to guys that are just getting started. That is the test. So I have my daughter, my 7-year-old, in jujitsu, and we follow one of my buddies owns a jujitsu academy in another state. Greg Anderson, he's got a podcast too, but I met him through a men's mastermind. Anyway, she got her first stripe on her white belt because she's been to 12 classes. And so we sent him a video that said, "Hey, Kennedy got her first stripe on her white belt. You better not mess with her." And he sent something back that was so awesome. He was like, "Your white belt is the toughest belt to get." And a lot of people laugh at that because you get it the first day you show up. But that's why, 99% of people don't even have their white belt is because they don't even show up. So
Hmm.
that's my thing. And it actually drives me crazy because I've worked with about 2,000 men at this point. They're different people after the program. It's like when we're young and we're full of piss and vinegar and we feel like we can take the world by the horns. And then somewhere along the way, we just get beat down and we get some like cubicle in a corporate office and we get some wife that like a lot of times we feel like doesn't even like us. And we have these kids that are like just draining us. And there's nothing left for the guy at the end of the day. And it's just like this sad, miserable existence that causes guys to, succumb to unhealthy vices, drinking too much, just like doping themselves up, even if it's food or Netflix or whatever it is. It's just like this feeling of defeat. And so I think if guys just understood how close they were to being able to reclaim that piece of them that they probably think is long dead, it's really just carving out that hour, going to the gym, getting surrounded by other guys like you and I who have goals and hold each other accountable and just like want to see the world be a better place, and then clean up their diet, take all the crap out that makes them feel terrible. I mean, within a week or two, you're just like, you got this like this vibration about you. You're like, I'm back. I mean, I just wish everyone could taste it because if they did, they would never want to go back.
Yeah, it goes back to something I like to say a lot, and that's working on yourself is not selfish. It's actually selfless. Because when you work on yourself, when you show up for yourself, then you can show up for everybody else even that much more. Like you said, at the end of the day, you're drained and you have nothing left to give to yourself. That's why I preach, do yourself first. Like give yourself that time first. That's why I go work out in the morning before work. So I can go ahead and get it done like first thing, and now I'm ready to go. I'm set up for the rest of the day. So yeah, I always preach, work on yourself no matter what your situation is, no matter if you have kids, if you have a spouse, whatever. You should always be, pouring into yourself. So that way you can show up for others even like better than you could before. So yeah, I like that point.
Yeah, when you're happy, you're fun to be around. I've been in a
Mm.
funk before where I wasn't going to the gym and like I just didn't feel good about myself for one reason or another. And my wife suffers because I'm an a-hole, and my kids suffer because my temper's short and I just don't feel good about myself and where I'm at in life. And it's all fixed by like one good lift. And I'm back.
Mhm. That goes back to when I say I never left the gym mad. Like you won't be mad when you leave the gym. It does something to you. Like it just puts you in a better mood.
Hmm.
So how do you help me and the clients you work with? How do you help them kind of balance, just regular work stress, family stress, life, maybe a busy schedule? What's kind of the way you like to help them balance that?
Well, so fasting goes a long way. Fasting's like the one diet, I guess you could call it, that you actually have more time in your day with, which
Hmm.
is great, or it could be bad depending on if you have stuff to do, if you're just sitting around looking at the clock. But if you like most guys, especially in my demographic, they work all day. Either they have employees that they need to manage or a boss that's telling them what to do. Like they're checking in with people. They need stuff from people. And then, so it's like give, give, give all day. And then they go home and the family's there. And it's like give, give, give all day. And then you go to bed and then rinse and repeat the next day. So what's nice about fasting is what most guys try to do. And again, everyone has their own methodologies. Mine's no better or worse than any, but for my unique demographic, this seems to work really well. Instead of taking someone that already has way too much on their plate and they're stressed out and they're like, okay, now I have to find an hour to go to the gym on top of this, and I need to prepare 6 healthy meals a day. It's like, dude, come on. How long are you realistically going to do that? We both know the answer is not very long. But with fasting, let's say you go to the gym 3 days a week for 45 minutes. But also, now you're fasting. Let's say you have like a 4 to 6 hour eating window at the end of the day when you're eating with your family. Now you have all this kind of extra time throughout the day, like your lunch break. You could go hit the gym then because you're fasting now. Now you get an extra 5 hours a day. You could go to the gym. And I have found that so you're asking about stress. The best way to relieve stress is just ask yourself, is this a scenario where I need to add more? Or would this be like the benefit of meditation, where it's actually like taking stuff away is the benefit? And in my case, and the guys I work with, it's like, well, maybe I don't need to keep adding, 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 adding. Maybe I could actually like do less, and there's a benefit to that.
Hmm. So what would you say to the person that may not be on board with fasting? Like somebody that say, man, I can't do that. Like I can't go 24 hours without eating food. Or they may just be kind of not necessarily intimidated by it, but may not, they may question it, like the science behind it or whatever.
You're you're reaching me on a podcast today. I'm over caffeinated because I had my pre workout. I was gonna say something probably pretty what you would think the bodybuilding guys would say, pretty much like don't be a puss, but I don't know your
Mhm.
audience. I was an old military guy, so that's like my sense of humor.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I operate, but I know some people don't operate that way.
No, for real. That's probably not a good coaching thing to do, is just say don't be a puss. I would go back to the old Henry Ford quote, which is if you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Hmm.
Like try. If you can try to fast and you can only make it 12 hours, good job. That's better than you were doing, which was probably eating right before you went to bed and then eating right when you woke up, which is like 7 or 8 hours. Go 12 hours. And when you go 12 hours, next time, see if you can best yourself, go 14 hours. But like to just throw in the towel before you even try, I mean, I would probably call you a quitter and not want you around me. I don't understand that mentality. If I see one person do something, unless they're like Michael Jordan dunking from the 3 point line, if it's like a normal person doing things, my initial thought is, oh, I could figure out how to do that too then. It's like the 4 minute mile. Like, oh, it can be done. All right, well then why can't I do it? I can go for it. And if I can't do it, I can at least try my hardest and learn the lessons required to do better next time. But I just don't even relate at all to the people that throw in the towel before they even try. So I guess I would say try.
Yeah, and I guess by the time somebody gets to you, like they're already like they've already decided, hey, I'm gonna give this a shot. Like I'm trying it because normally they
Well,
would have quit before they even got to you.
yeah, and to be fair, a lot of times uh there's another quote that's it goes, sell them what they want but give them what they need.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't necessarily on a sales call say, yeah, you're going to be doing 72 fast and 48-hour fast all the time. And because logically and emotionally, what happens is like, oh, that sounds really hard. And I've tried all these other things and I've failed. So I'll probably fail at this. And this time I'm paying a coach and I don't want to look stupid. And so I think I say the word fasting like once on the initial call. And that's why I'm a big community guy, is because once you get into our community and you see there's a bunch of people just like you and they're doing 72-hour fasts and they're doing 48-hour fasts and you've already financially committed, something tends to click in a guy's head where like, well, I'm here and I paid this money and everyone else is doing it, so I might as well give it a shot. And then they just get out of their own way and do it. And they're like, whoa, I never would have guessed.
Yeah, if I'm paying money for something, I'm getting my full money's worth. I'm doing the whole thing. Like I ain't missing a workout. I'm doing the whole thing. That's how I just don't want to waste the money, you know.
Yeah.
How,
That's how
how
guys are wired, man. That's the hardest part of guys getting started is swiping that credit card and making the commitment to themselves. Because
Mhm.
otherwise, you can always start Monday, you can always start tomorrow, you can always start the first of next month. But I tell people I could have like my program could be a 90-day program where all you eat is eggs and it wouldn't matter at all. Or all you eat is chicken breast. It wouldn't matter. Because once a guy pays the money and makes that commitment to himself, he's going to do anything he needs to do to hit his goal. It's only when guys stay in that like half in, half out, wishy washy. Well, I never really said I was gonna. That's why they stay stuck, is because they haven't made that like, they haven't drawn that line in the sand for themselves. So
Mhm.
I would say, like, honestly, the most important part of my role is on that initial call, asking the right questions. So they're like, dude, I need to do something, and just making that commitment. And then after that, they're pretty much guaranteed to work hard because they're invested and they're committed.
Mhm. So how often are you doing a 48 or 72-hour fast?
I did a 5-day dry fast a couple weeks ago, which was intense,
Like no
and
water.
I had to take my own advice. I had to pay. It's a company called dryfastingwithfriends.com, and they do it twice a year, January and June. But the reason I wanted to do the 5-day fast was because I had to do that chemo shit, which is obviously really not great for you. And this is a really good detox. But I had to take my own advice, so I had to pay them $1,000. They did daily coaching calls, and then I had to tell my wife I spent $1,000 on it. So like, if I wanted to break early, she'd be like, "No way, you just spent $1,000 of our money on not eating for 5 days. You're not eating for 5 days." Um, but that I don't do stuff long fast like that all the time. That was more just like a post chemo deal. 48-hour fast. Generally, I like to do one once a week if it works out. Usually Sunday night to Tuesday night. And again, it's twofold. A, I make a lot of less than perfect decisions on the weekend, so it
Mhm.
kind of undoes some of that damage, and also it simultaneously builds momentum for the week ahead. So I go into the week, feeling good and get a win under my belt right away. So yeah, like a Sunday night to a Tuesday night fast, I typically like to do once a week.
Yeah, so that's pretty often. I would have said like once a month or less than that. So you're doing it pretty often. That's
Well, the more you do it, the easier it is. Is kind of the
hmm
deal.
yeah. I'm assuming it gets easier. But
Yeah.
that
Oh,
first
big
one's probably tough. My father-in-law just did a 3-day fast because we were fasting for church. So he was like, I'm gonna do a full water fast for the first 3 days, and they've been doing it for 21 days. He said he feels great now, and like he feels a lot better. They've been eating, super healthy foods. So it definitely makes a difference when you cut out a bunch of junk out of your diet.
Oh, big time.
So I want to talk about the neuroscience kind of training that you do. Can you explain to us what you mean by neuroscience, based training? I guess is how you put it.
Yeah, so I never used to be a big mindset guy. I just figured you had it or you didn't. And then a few years ago, through just a series of weird coincidences, I mean, a quick Google search will tell you. Well, hold on. Sorry about that. A quick Google search will tell you that 95% of our actions, habits, and behaviors are all stemmed from our subconscious mind. So what that means is like you can wake up early, hit the gym, fast all day, eat a really clean dinner, but you might all of a sudden see that your kids have leftover chicken nuggets and mac and cheese on their plate. And then because when you were a kid, your dad told you that you don't know how hard me and your mom worked to put food on the table. There's kids starving in Africa, and there's this emotional seed planted where if you waste food, you're a bad person. All of a sudden, you will just totally negate all your own fitness goals and eat the food off your kid's plate that doesn't even look appetizing and totally trash your progress just because somewhere below the surface of your consciousness there's a feeling of I can't waste this food. Guys will like overeat. If you have a stressful day and you crave like sugar or alcohol, a lot of times that stems from when you're a kid. And a lot of this really is programming. We're programmable creatures just by nature, whether it be from our parents, our teachers, our siblings, our environment, the news, the music we listen to. We're constantly being programmed, especially at an early age. And what's really fascinating is we can program ourselves. So we don't have to necessarily listen to a country song about like getting drunk on a plane over and over again. And then you get home from work and you're like, no, I want to get drunk tonight. I had a stressful day. I want to get drunk. You could listen to some David Goggins motivating thing instead. And all of a sudden get home from work and be like, I'm going to go run 20 miles. It really is like, what are you programming your mind with? Because it has a tremendous effect on the way you show up and the things that you're doing day in and day out, which I don't think a lot of guys realize. They just think I need to force myself and use willpower to go to the gym and figure out discipline to stick to my diet, when really it's like, no, your programming is just messed up. I mean, you can reprogram it so you're not relying on willpower constantly. You could almost just observe yourself starting to make the right decisions more effortlessly instead of draining your willpower tank. But it's all like, what are you listening to? Who are you hanging around? What's your environment? How's it set up? It's like setting yourself up for success mentally, and then the physical always follows.
Yeah, I've experienced this myself as I've gotten out of college and gotten a little bit older. I've gotten to where like I can't watch the news. I can't, like, it puts me in a bad mood. So I refuse to watch it. Like, you won't catch me watching the news. I don't follow any like news channels on social media. Nothing, because there's nothing positive on the news. Not one thing. There's nothing positive. It's all negative, and it just drains my energy. So I can't, and I can't do like negativity. Like if other people are talking, it could be about anything. It could be about the weather outside. If it's negative, I don't want to hear it. Like I don't want to talk about it. Like I don't want to put that in my head because it's like you said, it drains your energy. Like it just puts you in a bad mood, and I don't want to listen. So like if you're a negative person, like we're just not gonna be friends. Like I'm not gonna hang out with you. Like I'm just not. I have to separate myself from people like that, and I don't do it in a mean way. I'll kind of nonchalantly separate myself. But yeah, I don't like listening to it. Like it drives me nuts. So I try, like if I realize like I'm around it, I'll find a way to leave or get away from it, because it's like you said, you got to train yourself to be more positive, motivating, things like that. So if you're listening to negative stuff all day, you don't even realize it's having an effect on you. Like it's changing your behavior as well too, and you're not even realizing it. So just try not to be around those people or listen to those things or to that music or that podcast or whatever it is. Just the more you can get it out of your head, the less likely it's going to have an effect on you.
Yeah, if I were to make a single recommendation to someone, knowing what I know now, it would be really double, triple down on the mindset stuff, and the physical stuff will just happen naturally. But if you're surrounded by people that give you a hard time when you choose to eat healthy instead of succumb to whatever they're eating, or give you a hard time for going to the gym, you're wasting your time, you're never going to be a bodybuilder, you're hanging around like guys that just go to the bar and eat bar food and get drunk and complain about their wives and their kids, complain about their jobs and their bosses. It's that classic, like, hang around four losers and you're going to be the fifth, hang around
Mm-hmm.
four millionaires, you're going to be the fifth. You really have to control your environment, and that includes what you're watching on TV, what you're listening to. The big one is people you're hanging around. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, nothing will drain your energy faster than a bunch of like negative Nellies that are just constantly gasping and complaining. And then it's really hard to want to go better yourself when you're just riddled with negativity all the time.
Yeah, this is something that it didn't take me long to figure out. Like once I figured, I was like, this other stuff is having an effect on me. Like it's affecting me personally. So like, I got to put into that. Like that's no more. So like, even simple things like music. Like I don't listen. I used to love rap music, like hardcore rap music, but I can't listen to it that much anymore because it's negative. Like it's and you don't realize it because it's just music. Like it ain't really affecting you, but like deep down, like it's just pumping just negative stuff in your ear all the time, and it has more of an effect on you than you really realize. So just cutting things out is so simple. Like if somebody's talking about somebody else or if somebody's talking about something terrible that's happened, like just separate yourself from that person. Like don't give in and feed into it because a lot of people feed into it. They'll give it right back to them. Like that's definitely making it worse. So be careful who you're hanging around with. Like you said, if you're hanging around four losers, you're gonna be the fifth one, and that's a fact.
Yeah, I say so. My step by step process that I lay out in the book is number one, you got to get crystal clear on who you are and where you want to go. So I have guys do what I call the U 2.0 exercise, which is like, all right, in perfect scenario, what's your ideal day look like? What time are you waking up? How much do you weigh and what body fat percentage are you? How would people close to you describe you? What's your work ethic like? Um, all of it. Just get crystal clear. And then what we do is we create like affirmations, which are, like I am this, I
Mm-hmm.
am that. But actually, I'm a bigger fan of affirmations, which are affirmations posed as a question, because our subconscious mind, whenever it hears a question, it just assumes it's true and it tries to connect the dots. So it's like, why is it so easy for me to wake up at 4:30 in the morning and go crush my workout? Why do people around me describe me as a leader of men? Why does my wife constantly want to have sex with me or whatever? You just get like crystal clear on it. And your subconscious mind starts looking for reasons of why it's true. And so I made like a recording. I'll listen to it right before I go to bed because it's called the theta brainwave state, where you're in your waking state like we're in right now. And then there's obviously sleep, but somewhere in the middle, it's called theta brainwave state. It's where you're very hypnotizable and programmable. So as I'm like starting to drift off to bed, I'll just put my headphones on for 10 minutes and listen to my recording of like my U 2.0 affirmations. And it's crazy because you can almost feel the gears turning as you're sleeping. And just, I'm telling you, over time, it's a repetition thing. You just start observing yourself reaching for a protein shake instead of like the Ben and Jerry's, for example. And you're not like, oh, I really want Ben and Jerry's, but I should do this protein shake. And it's not this like internal collision.
Mm-hmm.
You just start going for the protein shake. So the mental aspect is, I think, where a lot of coaches and personal trainers and a lot of people that are helping people with their fitness goals they neglect more than even admittedly I did for the first like 7 years I was coaching people. But now that I realize how important it really is, I really recommend guys take advantage of doing that stuff.
Yeah, I've heard of people doing the video, like the YouTube 2.0, like listening to the video. It's kind of like, you're kind of like manifesting things. So I've heard a lot of people do that, and they like it.
Hmm.
Um, and I've also seen people use like hypnotherapists to help with their food addictions. Do you know anything about that?
Not firsthand, but what I will say is I believe it works, but you don't even need a hypnotherapist. It
Mm,
would help, but you could do it yourself. If you can be intentional about programming your own mindset. So if you don't want to take the like actionable steps of doing that, yeah, go see a hypnotherapist and just go that route. That's perfectly fine. But um, you don't have to. You can legitimately take those steps into your own hands.
hmm I was gonna ask you something else about it. I forgot what I was gonna ask. It was about uh the YouTube 2.0 thing. Oh well. Uh,
Another thing you could do is just on YouTube, they have like positive success affirmations for men or for women or whatever you are. There's a million of them. But if you don't want to record your own voice and your own affirmation, you could just listen to, man, they've done study after study after study on this. It's just listening to positivity. Even they have like the Machiavelli motivation that is just different cuts of inspirational speakers saying stuff that's motivating. I've even more recently started listening to that on my way to the gym instead of, like you said, rock that's talking about like doing drugs and just having sex with a bunch of chicks and
Violence.
doing shoot ups and stuff. I'm like,
Mhm.
this isn't really making me a better person. As a matter of fact, I like feel angry when I get to the gym. But when I'm listening to like, no one said it was going to be easy, but you're going to get harder as you go because you're the man. Then I get to the gym. I'm like, I am the man, aren't I? Yeah. So just do that.
Yeah, that reminds me. You were talking about affirmations. I've used affirmations before, but it's always like I am this, I am that. But I like how you said you make it a question. So that's pretty interesting. I'll have to try that. Have you kind of turn it around to where your mind, like you said, your mind tries to put it together, tries to answer a question. So I like that. I'm gonna have to use that. That's what I was trying to remember earlier, but you
There's a
reminded me.
whole book on it. I want to say the guy's name's Noah St. John, but I could seriously not be right at all. Oh, Noah St. John. He's got a couple books. He's got one called The Great Little Book of Affirmations. The only difference is it's spelled with an O, not an I. So
Hmm.
affirmations, affirmations. Then he has another one called Millionaire Affirmations. But man, he really breaks down the like neuroscience of the benefits of posing it as a question. Because a lot of times you're full of shit, right? When you're staring at the mirror and you're 40 pounds overweight and you're like, I am single digit body fat. I am a physical specimen. It's like, dude, there's a little cognitive dissonance here. You know you're not. So you're lying to yourself. And then you risk the, okay, well, I guess I'm a liar. I lie to myself identity. But when you pose it as a question, you can almost future pace it. So you're like, how am I single digit body fat and 190 pounds? And then your brain gets to work. Well, you do what you say you're going to do. You get to the gym, you eat healthy, you don't drink every night. And like it just starts rewiring itself. So I've seen much more of an impact by posing it as a question as opposed to like that dissonance of just lying to yourself with the affirmations.
Yeah, I like that one. Definitely have to give that one a shot. Is there any other mental kind of things you do to help you? Like any meditation? You talked about words of affirmation. You do any journaling? Anything like that?
I was just saying to someone today, I want to be a journaling guy. I'm not. So I have an app for my coaching clients. I just, as of this morning, put in a little prompt for the beginning of the day and the end of the day. So the prompt is in the morning, it's like, what areas are you going to win in today? And then how are you going to go about doing it? So it's very short.
Hmm.
And then at the end of the day, it's like pretty much how did you execute today? What can you do better tomorrow? So I'm going to be starting that immediately. But I would say another big one is visualization. The problem with visualization is very challenging because you're just sitting there and you want to visualize whatever you're working on. Like, let's say for you, when you're training for your ultra, visualizing crossing the finish line and like, man, you're all beat up, you're muddy, you're wet, you're stinky, but like that feeling of crossing that 100-mile finish line and being like, feeling that feeling, there's a lot of benefits to it, but it's tough. So what I help guys with and what I write about in my book, it's called a mind movie, where you can essentially get clips of like a point of view of a guy crossing a finish line and people cheering, or like whatever you want to visualize. And I put it in these VR goggles and make it like double screen, so it's like 3D. And instead of having to like just solely focus your efforts on trying to visualize, instead you can just kind of like put these goggles on and watch it and be in that third person perspective. And that's like a little shortcut to get all the benefits of visualization without all the failed attempts of learning how to do it. I really enjoy that. As a matter of fact, so I live in Omaha, Nebraska, and there's no mountains around, and I drive a Chevy Trail Boss, so like a pickup truck. But I had on my mind movie that I was in like a supercar, and I was driving these windy roads through these mountains. And logically, I'm thinking, well, when would this ever happen? I drive a pickup truck, and there's no mountains in Nebraska. So what the hell? But then it was like 6 months later, I went on a trip with my buddies, and just on a whim, we decided to get a uh, what do they call a cyber truck, and we were in Sedona, Arizona. And man, I was just driving, and I like looked at my hand, and I was like, "Oh my god, dude, this is crazy. I've lived this like hundreds of times. I'm driving a supercar through the twists and turns of these mountains, and like I visualized this so
Mm-hmm.
many times, and it like happened now. So it's wild, but I've seen it happen like time and time again. If you can experience it before it happens, the world has a crazy way of like filling that vacuum with the actual material thing. So visualization's big.
Yeah, like I haven't done much like purposefully doing visualization. I've always you always think about doing these cool things, but not like on purpose. Visualizing the same thing each day, like as a practice. Something I like to experiment with is ice baths. I do ice baths,
Yeah.
just because not because I like them, but because it's hard. Like it's mentally challenging. Like I do them every day, and I still don't want to get in that thing every day. So it's just like a mental battle that I have to face every day.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I like to do to kind of work on my mindset. I've tried the meditation. I just suck at meditation. It's hard.
It's tough.
I've
Yeah.
tried I do the journaling a little bit. I'm doing it now. I picked it back up starting January. I started the journaling again, and it's just, I don't know. I'm not a big journaler, but I've been doing it. So,
Well, so that's another thing I talk about in the book, and that's how this whole thing kind of unfolded to me. Is so you just gave yourself a label. I'm not a journaler. So
mhm.
what that is, it's a peek into your subconscious mind, your identity. So that's probably like that's what I started noticing with guys that would gain the weight back later. Even they might go through my program, lose 50 pounds, but then 2 years later they gained it all back as they would use language like, I'm a yo-yo dieter, I'm a snacker, I'm a drinker, I'm not a morning person. And we don't realize that our words are very powerful. We're pretty much calling our shot. And so that is kind of like the benefit of the reprogramming is like, why is journaling, how does it come so naturally to me? And then you'll notice over time that like that uh I guess like the language you use about yourself is more in alignment with who you're looking to become rather than who you've historically been. Because we're all guilty of it. We'll just give away, like we'll just tell people,
Mhm.
like I'm not a gym guy, like, but I'm going to the gym because I want to get in shape this year. It's like, well, if you believe you're not a gym guy, then you can use willpower for a few weeks. But ultimately, until you fix that shit in there, you're gonna keep going back to baseline. So
Mhm.
I actually got this AI recorder because we're all guilty of it. I'm not picking on it. There's many things that I say about myself that I'm like, well, that's not. that doesn't describe me how I want to be. So it's not productive. I got this little AI recorder and I wore it for like a week. It recorded every conversation I had. And at the end of every day, I would be like, um, show me where I was negative. Tell me where I was derogatory or victimy or in any of these areas. And it's pretty cool. AI is wild, but I was saying things to my kids that I didn't even realize. Like I was complaining about the weather and something like that. And so AI populates like, well, you were complaining about the weather. You said it's too cold to go to the park. You promised Kennedy you'd play with her after school, but then you found a reason not to. It's like, damn, dude.
Calls you out.
It does. But you can use it to like identify the negative language patterns you use about yourself. And then so that way I knew what to put in my affirmations and work on. But I would just say like, yeah, historically it's been a challenge to journal, but I'm getting better at it. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a good idea to use for the AI. I never thought about using it that way, but that's a pretty good idea to see, because I bet it picks up on things that you would never pick up. So that's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Is it one of the ones you wore on your wrist?
No, mine like clips on. It's called a Plaud, Plaud, and it's just like the size of a thumb drive, and it clips on so you can wear it on your shirt or your hat or put it in your pocket.
Yeah, I've seen the ones people that make it like a bracelet. You wear it on your wrist, and it does the same thing. Like I've seen a lot of people use it at work. They'll use it to record their meetings and stuff. So then they have like all the meeting minutes and stuff already typed out for them after, so they don't even have to worry about taking notes. So that's super convenient.
Yeah, if you have anytime you have two people, you get two different perspectives. So it is kind of like a mediator. So let's say like you're married and a fight happened, and in your mind you're like, yeah, because as soon as I walked in the door, she was on my ass about it. But if you ask her, she's like, no, he came in and asked what's for dinner right away without even asking how my day was. Well, like you can literally have the transcript and be like, okay, where did things go off the rails?
Yeah, AI is wild. It's crazy. You can do some cool stuff with it. I dabble in it a little bit, but I hadn't done nothing like super cool with it. I use it a lot for just generic tasks, things I don't have to write out myself.
Yeah.
I use it a lot on the podcast actually to coming up with questions and stuff. I use it a lot.
Okay, well, you did a good job this one, so it must be working for you.
Yeah. So I want to respect your time. I don't want to keep you too long. So if you would, just let everybody know where they can find you, where they can get your book, and where they can follow you, or reach out to you if they want to get some coaching or anything like that.
Sure. Instagram's probably the easiest to find me. It's just Joel Staley Fitness. And then I'll mention that book one more time just so you don't have to spend the $5. And you can get not only the book, but I think that I put a course together for the book on this website. It's just totalresetcoaching.com/gift. You'll get a copy of the book and then like an in-depth course walking you through kind of what I was talking about with the mindset stuff.
Mm-hmm. We can put that link in the description too. If you just look down the description, it should be there for y'all. Make it easier for you. But yeah, and then so you do all your coaching online?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what I figured. Yeah. Other than that, one last thing to leave off the podcast. If you just had to give one piece of advice to somebody, getting started on the fitness journey, what would it be?
They're already doing it. Fill your head with positive stuff. If you're listening to this podcast, it means you're already on the right track. Just don't be afraid to fail and learn, and surround yourself with people that are doing the same. They're not afraid of failure. They're not afraid of trying. They do, they fail, they learn, and they do again a little bit better. Rinse and repeat.
I like that. So thank you so much for joining the podcast. I enjoyed our time together. Y'all be sure to tune in again next week for another episode of the Fitness Beginner Podcast. Y'all have a great day.